building in Newcrest, and it is my first time building in Newcrest on my channel, I believe, because I haven't really even built in Newcrest in a long time. I haven't been in this neighborhood in a long time, to the point where I was like, "Oh my god, this neighborhood backdrop is really beautiful." And I just have to kind of ignore the other buildings around, which is usually what discourages me from building in Newcrest. But just this view from this, like, you see the front of the house, the cliffs in the background. I love this little neighborhood, and I think I'm gonna start building here more often, especially when I do little base game builds. So, I guess you probably had seen the title that this is a base game only cottage build. I haven't done a base game build in a little while, and I really wanted to do one. And the first time I did it, I took little notes of like what I felt was missing from base game and what I wish we had more options for. So I do want to cover that a little bit and kind of reflect on what I remember was the case in that video and what has changed, like, I guess, well, not a year later. I did that video in like springtime. So I guess like half a year, my thoughts and my building preferences and how they've changed. I do have a reference picture for this shape of my build, so I'm gonna pull it up for just a little bit. It'll also be in my description, so if you want to see it closer up and you want to use it for a build or anything else, then you could find it there. So I'm gonna pull it up really quickly. So it's just someone's little like tabletop miniature house, which I really liked the shape of. It looked interesting enough and also simple enough where I felt comfortable that I could pull it off with just base game. I know that this build would be so much nicer with get together, but as I've kind of been building more, like I post a build video every week, so I'm getting way more familiar with all the wallpapers and stuff. I had known that there was some base game walls that I wanted to try as sort of like the half timber walls that I use from Get Together, and it kind of worked. I used it a little bit in this build, mostly as like roof accents. I mean, you'll see that later. I guess I'll talk about the landscaping now instead. I did kind of what I normally do. I just raised up a little bit of a hill and I defined it with some rocks. Beautiful base game rocks. Normally I've been using the cats and dogs rocks, but these ones work. I liked it. I don't see any problems with just base game landscaping. Also, I don't have seasons installed and I found two base game trees that like look like autumn leaves, which I really liked because when I decided to do this base game build, and I decided to actually disable all of the packs so that I didn't have to keep resetting the filters like I used to do. And I realized that I wasn't going to have seasons installed and I wanted to do a fall build. And I kind of did with this because these trees look like fall, looks like seasons installed, but it is not. um what else did I do with this? Oh yeah, I tried layering the terrain paint a little bit differently with layering different dirt. I don't like it that much. Other people do it and it looks beautiful. I haven't gotten good at it yet. I maybe I'm being harsh on myself, but I want to try and get really good at a nice natural dirt path. That's kind of the goal. It's just really hard because like the terrain paint is so harsh in this game, and it also with my like preset with G shade, it changes the color slightly. And so I have to go back and forth a lot to see what looks good with G shade on might not look good in base game. And so it's like a constant back and forth. But I've been really enjoying making ponds like this where I size down the rocks a lot more. I did this for the first time in last week's video. Um, yeah, so I decided to do it again in this one. And I'm posting twice this week because I've been building so much and I got excited and I wanted to share my builds before I forget what I did which is sometimes what happens. But yeah, I do end up putting rocks around the side and back of the house as well. I don't remember if I show it fully. I make some cuts, especially in some of the walls. I found this like bamboo like window blinds, and I decided to use it as wallpaper, and so I sat there individually placing a million of these blinds on some of the walls, and some of them flicker, so I had to go back in to the game and redo them again. I didn't record all of it, but you'll see one wall. I do one wall on camera of me placing the blinds, and I don't know if it ends up being worth it, but I liked it. I don't know if that is something I would be willing to do all the time, but because it's like a little base game build and I wanted to try like using things I don't normally use, I thought that would be a good way to kind of replicate some of the like weathered shingle walls that I really like from some other packs that base game doesn't have. And it kind of did that for me. Yeah, I didn't have like as many complaints doing this base game build as I think I probably had in like my first base game build. Um, I think the columns, I liked them a little bit more this time, but I really wish that we had a nice stone column for like the outside corners of walls, but I don't even really like any in any of the packs. So I think that's just a complaint that I have to begin with. I use some like debug live edit pillars for that, and it does what it needs to do. And I love the base game windows. I now use mostly base game windows in a lot of my builds. Like these ones are all of my favorites. Before Horse Ranch came out, I would always use these shutter windows, which I never used until I did my base game build video, and I loved these windows, and so I started using them a lot, but the Horse Ranch shutters are just, like, are better because I could use tulle and I could, like, make them slightly hang off of the walls. But yeah, this is the wallpaper I was talking about that I kinda wanted to use to make it seem like it's the half timber walls from Get Together. It doesn't do a great job at it, but it does it enough, I think. And so, yeah, right now the walls seem very flat with that wooden wall that I put around, and it looks good. But for some reason, I decided to experiment with different objects, and I placed all of the bamboo blinds around, which you would have seen in the intro of this video anyway, because I showed the house before. Um, what else did I do? Oh, yeah, I was just pulling out little things around to see where I could add detail to the build. I was trying to get creative like other builders when they use things for other purposes that they're like not meant to be used for, and it's always like really beautiful. And I'm still not that great at doing that. But I do use Tool a little bit to add some wall details on the sections of it that is supposed to be like the half timber get together walls. I pull out these like rounded um wall detail pieces, which I'll just bring up again once I pull it out, which I think should be coming up soon. But yeah, I decide to do a little overhang in the front here, and I put some plants on it just to add a little bit more detail. I didn't want the build to look flat, and I thought that that did enough. And I like the base game Ivy, but I don't like having to place it around because I have to kind of fight with the placement a lot. Oh, these are the things I was talking about, the round things I was using as wall details. I use Tool to rotate them 180 so they're completely flipped for the top part, and then I have to elevate them a bunch, and I cut a lot of it out because I'm not great at Tool. And see, it looked like that piece magically appeared, but it took me a very long time to do. And this is the section where I dedicated so much time to putting these bamboo shutters or blinds everywhere. I only showed one wall. The other ones aren't worth it. I just alt place every single one because just placing them didn't even like line up correctly. But this is the interior. It's very, very tiny. It is a one bedroom, one bathroom home. And technically, the upstairs is just a loft space with a double bed. So two Sims could live here. That's about it. I guess, like, you definitely could drag out the top floor a little bit and have it hanging off a little bit more and maybe fit in like a second bedroom for a kid or something. I think that's probably the easiest way to expand the house where like the first floor here, I have so much landscaping around that it would probably be a little bit annoying to do that. Just I was thinking of that too while I was building. I was like, I mean, if someone got this house and they wanted another bedroom, you could just drag out these pieces, I guess. And I love this bathroom. This is, like, one of my favorite bathrooms I've ever done, and I it's because I love these base game walls, and I love it paired with the light floor and all of the yellow accents that I used around. It, like, felt like Plant Sim Girl vibes, and I was really loving it so much, and so, yes, my favorite bathroom. And I just add little plants around. It's a lot of brown, a lot of green, white flowers, yellow warm lighting. I have this entryway too, which I had to slightly move things around when I was trying to take the video because my sim couldn't get past the clothing rack over there. So I had to just slightly move it into the wall a little bit. It's not too noticeable, but thankfully I didn't have to move the entire console table because that's what I was worried about wouldn't fit, but it was just the coat rack, which was an easy fix. And this kitchen is off to the side. I use the really nice appliances that I like to use. I was going to use the other ones, but I felt like these just fit really well with just the color palette that was already going on. I used the same wall and floor throughout the entire build because it looked so nice and I figured I didn't need to add anything else. I liked it already, so I just committed to that. And I couldn't really fit a sink in a counter, so I placed it by the window, and I like that. I like the placement of just, like, kind of a bathroom sink off to the side in kitchens. I feel like it adds character to a build, and I remembered a trash can on the interior, not the exterior. So if your sim lives here, the trash will pile up all over the floor until you buy an outside bin. And I probably won't remember to add it in before I upload it to the gallery. I'll try. Um, yeah, I'm making a mental note, which doesn't always stick, but maybe it will this time. And this is the living room. I tried to layer the that bookcase in with the fireplace, and I've learned so many times that layering things into fireplaces aren't a good idea because half the time it's not functional. And I feel like maybe putting objects so close to a fireplace is a major fire hazard, which also reminds me that I did not put any smoke detectors in this build. I didn't put any of the little fire stuff in because I forget. So I guess that would have to be added in. I could easily sneak the wall thing in somewhere. Again, if I remember with the trash bin. But if I do it right after I do the voiceover, I'll probably remember to do that. But yeah, the color palette for this, I'm using very like muted greens. And I love that desk. I meant to, when I placed that desk, I wanted to comment on it. I really love that desk. I've almost never used it. I feel like these sorts of limited pack builds allows me to try out different items that I don't normally use all the time. Like I never use the sunflower bed, but I was thinking about the yellow accents downstairs, and so I was like, yeah, I'll do it up here too because I use that red bed so much. And I just used it in my build video that was on Monday, which is also today. I'm recording this on Monday. And this was going to be next week's video, but I figured it would be short enough to like give me the opportunity to upload twice so that I can start working on one of my bigger build videos and getting that out next week. But yeah, I spent a lot of time in this little corner up here just placing books and different clutter around, and I wanted it to be perfect. So I was like looking through and I was trying to find what pieces worked so well next to each other. And then when I was working on a build after this and I was trying to clutter shelves, I was like, I'll never do this again. This was my peak and I'll never be able to replicate this clutter unless I like upload this or save it as a room and I use it over and over again in all of my builds. But I just love the clutter together. I love the gold accents and the plants in between some of the books. It just like everything works so well together. I don't know what happened. I did like a huge brain blast while I was doing this. And yes, so what else did I do in this little room? I just spent a lot of time putting these items around and then I later just add a few more things onto the walls. My mom was calling me, and I didn't realize because my headphones block out so much sound apparently, and I was worried it would be picked up in the, video, but I didn't hear anything. But yeah, this is pretty much the whole video. It's just a few more paintings around, and that's about it. I'll upload it on the gallery. My gallery ID is TheCrackedKyber. It'll be in my description too, as well as like on my posts on Instagram. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you next week. I'll have a very long video and if it might be two parts, it might be one part. I need to see as I edit the video. But yeah, thank you. Bye.